Hello, I'm a Cat, and when I heard they were changing the golden apple recipe, I crafted as many as I could for 9 times cheaper and advised as many people as possible to do the same. This same logic that has taken me to making fireworks before the Elytra and getting hose before the Deep Dark has also led me to a lot of bees before this current update, and indeed, going a step further than even that, I want to get a chest full of an ingredient which is currently seen as worthless, but is getting much more important, and no, it's not copper, but today I want to... What is happening over here? Today, I want to talk about things that you should do before Minecraft 1.21 comes out. They are things that will help you in some great way, because if you have a long-term survival world, there are lots of things that you're going to want to do after the update that would make much more sense to get out of the way now. And to start with one that really isn't obvious to a lot is the brand new light source that is coming as part of this update. Did you know how it's crafted? Because you might think, oh, I'm so excited to use the new best light source. It's going to be so fun to turn it on and off with a button. But did you know this is one of the most expensive recipes for a light source we've ever seen? You know, I really can't just walk away from that. I want to talk to you right now about 1.21, but seriously, have you ever... Wait. Okay. I've got a lot of questions, but there will be answers right after we talk about blazes, because fun fact, every time I want to get blaze rods, like most people, I just go near a blaze spawner and hang out till I get a decent number. However, there is a much easier way that I've been putting off for literally years in this world, and if you have too, maybe grab a couple of lava buckets and a few hoppers and go to your nearest spawner. And once you're there, you just need to find one of these blaze spawners, and instead of hanging out, as I always do, instead what you've got to do is just dig straight down below it. This is really handy if you have a blaze spawner, which is already sort of enclosed like mine, and what's also kind of handy is you'll get blazes while you work on the farm, especially if you have a looting sword like me. This is very handy, but yeah, I'm just here to dig away all of the blocks below the blaze spawner. Then once we have a 9x9 area, we're just going to dig it out a few blocks down, which is fairly easy to do. Honestly though, I have to say, this is one of the most fun projects to do because you get a little combat break every now and then, and that combat gives you really good experience. Blazes are one of the best sources of that in the entire game, so if you're looking to repair a tool, why not get, at the same time you break it, some experience to mend it? I have to say, big fan. Now we have a 9x9x4 box. We can use the lava, which is going to function as the Nether's version of water, and it seriously does work that way. It doesn't just spread that far, but also because most Nether mobs are immune, if you need to move them from place to place, such as to get them away from a spawner so more mobs can be there, then you can just remove the blocks around here and eventually have lava flow everywhere, which we can have go all the way over to there now. Look how perfectly it works. In fact, we can even, if we remove those blocks as well, look at that. It's now perfectly flowing into this half, which we could match on this side. Just gotta do the same block destruction. I am definitely hanging out a little close to lava for my liking, but now we have lava which is perfectly going to move mobs into a space of my choosing, and my space of choosing is probably going to be over here, just a couple of blocks wide, and then to stop lava from flowing directly into there, I can place some signs. Don't ask me why signs do not burn. This makes... And then we'll have on this one, no sense. Oh, okay, being lit on fire here. But yeah, you can now use the lava from that to stop things from burning as they go through here, which means that I can hang out somewhere, and also I can use that to mine the rest of the netherrack and have the lava perfectly float towards here, which we can then mine down and have a little chamber for blazes to end up in. This is where we can later kill them if we really want to, and you know what? I think I really want to. Although, actually, you're not. Do you really want to, or you just sort of want to? Is a good question. You should be asking for this sort of thing, but I don't really mind too much. This is the simplicity of the blaze farm that we have, and now I make a staircase up, and then we clear out the blazes that have been spawning while I've not been paying too much attention. I am very sorry to hear that you have some grievances with me. Perhaps you'd like to set me on fire to make it feel right to you. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're just going to let them do what they're going to do, and then we're going to clear out the top of this, because yeah, we want to have as many blocks freely spawning as possible, and we even want to make it so there is no surface with the spawn on. They'll just fall straight down into the lava, and boom, now I've got myself a perfect explanation of how this blaze trap works. We just remove all the blocks below them, and they'll have to spawn and immediately fall into this lava, at which point they'll be trapped, at which point I'll have all the blaze rods neatly falling into one place. At this point, I should go back down here and just make sure that the blazes can't get out. We can just place a single block here, and then, I don't know, like go over here one more block. And now I've got a place that I can hit them, but they can't hit me. Wow, isn't this easy? A few moments later. No, not the totem, not the totem. Don't make me use it. I don't want to. I think I'm going to. This is the worst way for this to happen. Yeah, okay, never mind. If you don't have at least one near-death situation, what was even the point of coming to the Nether is my direct response to that. So yeah, we're going to do the very, very, very easy and definitely not scary task of removing all of these blocks now while being actively attacked by blazes. And just like that, we have one of the world's easiest farms that we are doing very wonderfully with. There are no issues and no concerns here, except for the fact that while you're waiting for the farm, you might get lit up. You could obviously place solid blocks here, but then you wouldn't know if it's actually working. And there's something fun about trapping mobs in a way where you know exactly what's going down. And so bring a transparent block. I found some iron bars in a chest while I was looking for lava, and so we'll place some iron bars right here, and as you can see, now I have a way to see them, and I hope that they can't see me, although I theorize they can. Nope, actually, great. And then the lava will push them, and they'll eventually spawn into one place. Hopefully. It's not looking like that's happening though, is it? Oh, actually it is! Wow, they just have to push each other. This is basically the logic I have behind farming anything, is it allows you to use your existing supplies and not worry about where they're going to come from in the future. Also, I feel like I should maybe place like a half slab or a sign on top of the spawner there. It's not a problem. They'll just push each other off if they spawn more. I waited here for 5 minutes because I assumed I would be able to say I told you they would, but they have just sat there kind of awkwardly. Also, I've stared at their legs for so long. Have you ever looked at just how many arms and legs a blaze has? It's far too many. I used to feel bad about systematically, trapping them and using them in a way like this. But now after looking at how freaky they are, I feel like it's someone who could design arms and legs and a head, but had no idea what a body should look like, and so left it transparent, and then just never came back to design the rest. Anyway, speaking of bees, the reason that I've been spending a lot more time around my bees recently is for one reason and one reason only, and that is the honeycomb. Honeycomb is going to be a lot more valuable after 1.21 because getting your hands on copper is going to be about 10 times easier. Mining a trial chamber is just so much more effective than actually mining for copper, but also there's something you want to do now because it gets much harder, and that is to use honeycomb on every single variant of copper. This is an achievement which currently exists in Minecraft, and I'll admit I'm a bit of an achievement hound, but even if you're not, you're going to want the character creator item, which is easier now, because waxing from all of the copper blocks right now just requires 32 separate blocks to have wax applied and then to have the wax taken off with an axe, but after the update, it's going to go up substantially. I know this because one of the things that I do every time an update comes out is I list every single feature in there, and one of the controversial decisions is we list every single new block as a brand new feature, because how else would you list it? How would you decide when to group them together? But I realized just how many new copper blocks there are, and I don't want to have to get like 4 times as much honeycomb, and so if you want to get an achievement easier, then this is the way to do it. There is some chance that they would change the wording of this achievement to say, yeah, actually, all you've got to do is wax all the pre 1.21 copper blocks, but that would be very awkward, I think, and so most likely this achievement will get harder, and getting the copper headband will get harder too. And you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not sure if I want this too bad, but I'm a completionist, so I'm gonna do it anyway. Fun fact, I've actually been preparing for this achievement for a little while, so I actually have been sitting above all of this mostly weathered and fully oxidized copper, which is hanging out down here, and this means that I should be able to craft most of the blocks fairly easily, except for the lightly weathered variant, which I will be able to do by, I guess, just either waxing off one of these blocks fully, which sounds like a good idea by itself. Wait, no, you don't have to wax it off fully, do you? You can just... Oh, there we go. Okay, and now I just have to mine enough of these to get a full set of lightly weathered blocks. Yeah, it's much better if you want to have the full spectrum of copper to start with oxidized, because you can unoxidize it near instantly. You know, it's one of those things that's so obvious the moment you first do it, but you don't realize till before. And that's one of the reasons I make these Let's Plays, is so you can have these experiences without having to think about it the awkward way. Something else you might not think about is once you've got the regular block itself, it's fairly easy to make all of the variants because you can just use a stone cutter to make an exposed cut copper, which we'll make 4 of. Wow, that's a good deal. Then we'll make an exposed cut copper stairs. We'll get 4 of those as well as some exposed cut copper slabs. I forgot just how great of a deal cut copper really was. And then we'll do the same for oxidized copper slabs, etc. And the same with the oxidized or the weathered copper. I honestly, does anyone know all of these names off the top of their heads? I try to be someone who does. I try to be someone who's real smart and can store all this stuff, but I never succeed. Ah, what was that? Was that a wandering trader? Anyway, I've got a confession to make. I claimed that I collected every pre-1.15 block in Minecraft, and then I collected every 1.16, 1.17, and 1.19 item. I didn't do the same for 1.20 because it's such a collectible update, it kind of had to go in the museum. But anyway, I claimed I have every block in Minecraft here, but I never actually got to the right level of oxidized for most of these stair slabs, etc. And also I never have the waxed on version and the waxed off version, because keeping the waxed off version would be a nightmare, but that's the reason why I've never applied and unapplied it. But today we change that. I just don't even know how we'd start here. I guess we'll start by taking these and waxing them fully. Yeah. So we'll start with one of these, and then we'll put some wax onto these because we need these to stay the same. Yep. Then we'll put some wax onto these because this is mostly unweathered. Okay, I didn't need to bring the extra blocks with me. Feeling very silly about that one now, but that's fine. Then we'll put wax on there, and then we'll also not put wax on there. Then we'll go another layer deep, and now I have to start using my different blocks. So I've got some exposed, or it's called weathered at this point. We've got some weathered blocks that we're going to put on there now. Weathered goes here, weathered goes here. Now we make the last few versions of these items, oxidized cut copper, as well as oxidized cut copper slabs, oxidized cut copper stairs, and now, look at this, my collection has finally come together. I can't believe it took all these years, but here we are. Oh, wait. Okay, that's fine. You know, I've been trained after years of experience with 1.19 to not just hear that as a sound, but to think of it as something much more. Also, something else you can notice is I'm a big fan of when it's not necessary. I'm a fan of cutting corners to avoid that, and so you can see there's no calcite below these blocks. But yeah, now I need to apply honeycomb to these blocks, which I shall do. And then we'll apply honeycomb to these blocks, but we'll immediately wax it off, because why do I even need that on there? And that is the wax on, wax off for all of the oxidized blocks. We'll do the same for these ones. Honeycomb all of these. And then we'll do the same for these, just to make sure they stay. It looks like I have done it. Then we'll honeycomb these, so we can wax it off. It seems very silly to do that, but, you know, I've got to do it. And then the same over here. I don't think I've unwaxed these blocks. So right now we shall do it. Wax on and a wax off. And I think that should give me the achievement. I think. Maybe. How would you even know? It doesn't pop up anymore. That's the shame with not play out. Oh, okay. We're at no. That is not the achievement. We're at 16 out of 32. Are there more copper blocks I don't know about? How have I only got 16? There's 16 different copper blocks you've got to apply wax to. And I have applied it to all of them, that I can tell. I guess I haven't waxed on and off these blocks here, so I'll do that. Okay, feels like a big waste of honeycomb in my previous time, but that's okay. Now I have used an axe to scrape them all off, as well as them all on. How does that look? I don't honestly know. Oh, no, I'm at 31. Which one did I not do? No. This is the nightmare of just having a scoreboard. It doesn't tell me which block I missed. But somewhere in here I did something wrong. And now I don't get a very serious piece of gear as a result. Okay, now let's think about this critically. It probably was one of these blocks. I don't recall waxing on and off them all. So I'll put it on, and I'll take it off. And I'll put it on, and I'll take it off. And this one isn't... Yeah, and we'll put it on... Wait. No. Yeah, this one isn't correct, so maybe that's where the mistake was. Okay, please tell me that that right there finally did it. I need to have this copper headband. Life is pain. Oh, it just updated. Completed. Yeah, I got me a copper headband. Yeah, putting this right on my Diamond Steve character. Look how perfectly he fits. Weird part of Minecraft, but something you should do before the update. Oh, it looks so weird having Netherite armor on a tiny character like this. You know, it's a price worth paying. Wait, actually, before I put Tiny Steve away, I've noticed an engagement hack for videos, which is whenever I show this cape off, a lot of people leave comments. So if you have any feelings about this and you'd like to boost my engagement rates, please do let me know. You can also choose to let me know the futility of trying to collect every 1.17 block when some of them have to stay unwaxed, which means naturally they're going to weather, which means that naturally they're not going to stay as the correct type of block. But again, I can talk about futility all day, every day, which is one of the reasons why I think it's important. So the third most important thing to do before 1.21 is something I'm banging on about all the time, but it's so important for a long-term survivor world, and that is to watch out where you explore. It's not necessarily the most fun or sexy part of planning any long-term world, but it is one of the most important, and let me explain to you why using an example. This right here is my end, and if you go into it, you'll notice something very interesting, and that is that I have built this big glass cross across my world. However, whenever I do anything that requires building in my end, I do it in this direction over here. You'll know if you've ever looked around the world that I go about 6,000 blocks in one direction, despite not having gone just over 1,000 blocks in this one. This isn't me being ridiculously inefficient or not understanding that the end is a circle, but instead is me preparing for a future end update. I'm not saying that 1.22 will be an end update, or 1.25, or even in the next 10, but at some point Minecraft will update end generation, and at that point you'll wish you had the new generation and not the old stuff. At least I presume you'll want that, and the closer towards your spawn you have unexplored chunks in your end, the easier you'll be able to find new end chunks, because Minecraft will never overwrite your existing chunks. This will never be overwritten by a new end. In case this all sounds hypothetical, take the case of the Nether update. Any chunks explored before 1.16 will be forever stuck as boring old Netherrack. You might like boring old Netherrack by comparison, but I think that it's not the best of the 5 new biomes. In fact, it'd be hard to argue it's anything better than the third of the best. However, any chunks you didn't explore, such as just a few blocks over here, will be regenerated, or I guess generated for the first time, as a basalt delta. Oh man, that's much worse actually. But you might be able to get a crimson forest or a warp forest, and so if you are looking to ever enjoy new features in your old worlds, which is something, let's be honest, a lot of people get excited for. The reason that so many will regenerate their world every new update, or rather I should say, generate a whole new world each update, is because of the fact that they say, yeah, I want to explore the new features, so if you leave space on your existing worlds, then you can enjoy Cherry Grove biomes and basalt deltas in the same place. By the way, this is one of my worst building decisions in the Nether ever, and the reason is that guy right there. But it hasn't lit on fire yet, and so I'm going to try and get out of here before it does, to show you the very real example I'm talking about for 1.21. So here is my Let's Play world, and as we discovered recently, there is actually a trowel chamber that would choose to generate over there, but because most of the chunks had been generated after 1.18 in this world, if you're curious, anything below Y0 was only generated after 1.18, even though the rest of this world was generated as early as 2012, that means that the trowel chamber over there is all broken and messed up, and this is something that you can avoid by limiting your exploration right now. If you haven't explored chunks since 1.18, just wait another month to explore them after 1.21. In fact, I think that something you should do in general, not just for 1.21, is work out where in your world you have explored and where you intend to explore, and pick a direction and use that. Ultimately, eventually you'll run out of direction, so when I'm looking for trowel chambers, I'm thinking if I go this way, I haven't really explored that far in the direction of my Savannah Mountains and my Ocean Monument and all that stuff. I haven't really gone that far past 500, 600 blocks, especially since 1.18 came out, and so this is... I should not have done that. This is where I intend to go after 1.21. But there's one other thing that it's important to notice will change after this update, and it is something that I do want to mention right here, right now, is very minor by itself, but still will be rarer after 1.21. Tough is going to be slightly harder to get. So tough functions like an ore in Minecraft. It generates some big blobs, and those big blobs generate at different rarities depending on where you are. They generate at the very max at the very bottom of the world, but because of the fact that trial chambers will be coming in and taking over a lot of the generation, all ores will be getting very slightly rarer because places where those ores will exist will be replaced by trial chambers. Now, realistically, this isn't a big panic. It's not like it's not as big as golden apples where it's 9 times more efficient to do it now than after, but you're talking a few percent of efficiency, potentially, depending on the ore and where you mine, and I think there is a secondary benefit to mining one of these ores, the tuff, and that is the fact that tuff will be a lot more useful after this update. We've been saying ever since tuff came out, why don't you give us bricks and blocks and stairs, and they've done precisely that, and so my goal right now is to take tuff from being a weird block that I put in the corner of my world into being one that I have a full double chest and multiple shulker boxes full of. In other words, I want 10,000 tuff so that when the update comes out, or maybe even before, I can start building fun things with it. And so, I'm going on a tuff mining trip. You know, I'm not saying that the trip will be hard, I'm just saying I'm looking for a block with a funny name. Anyway, at this point, I want to quickly mention something, which is that every single time I do one of the old-style Let's Play segments where we do 10 minutes of just chill and talk, a lot of people say they love it, but also YouTube shows me the retention graphs, it gives me the analytics and the data that says people actively are watching less when they come up, and it gets recommended to fewer people, and so it's a bit of a dilemma. What have I done instead? Well, I've got that part of the Let's Play, and it's an entire thing that you can watch if you remember. Otherwise, it turns out that most of the people out there, would prefer if we skipped right through it, which is why I have done some on-camera mining. I swear, it's out there, you can watch it, and I got 16 deep slate diamond and this full chest full of tuff, a shulker box full of tuff in fact, which is wonderful. I am looking forward to doing some silly stuff with this, and the most important reason that we need this is because after 1.21, you will be able to get tuff bricks from a trial chamber, but using tuff itself, we'll be able to craft tuff stairs and tuff walls and all those sorts of things only directly from the regular tuff. So if I wanted to, in the same way I have a giant bee to represent my bee farm, I could make a giant blaze at my brand new blaze farm, which is something really interesting. I want to talk about the idea of making farms, and I did that in the memory version, but yeah, it's something that I think is very important to do before 1.21. Make sure you get your hands on a lot of tuff. That is the fourth and most important thing. There's lots of like tiny points that I was going to include as like whole own things on this list, such as you could get your hands on a lot more emeralds now, and it would help you finding trial chambers maps. I think that that's like a very minor thing in the grand scheme of things though. I also think that it would be worth getting some experience now, because you're going to, the moment you get your first mace, which let's be real, that's the big first thing for a lot of people, you're going to want to enchant it, and you're probably not going to get the perfect enchantments first time, so having enough levels that you can enchant, not just once, but maybe multiple times, is a really good idea too. But again, having levels is always a good idea. Before or after 1.21, it's always important, and so a similar thing also applies to basically anything else, I'd say. But hopefully you do some of these things. Hopefully this video has helped you in some way, and if it has, after 1.21, come back in and say something nice. It would make my day. Knowing that I help some of you in your Minecraft worlds is one of the things that really helps out, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video, because if it does, then liking or subscribing is a great way for you to help out. And speaking of helping out, I hope you've had a wonderful time, because I'll see you in the next one where I won't rhyme. Bye.